everybody. Welcome back to the No Cover TV podcast. I can't stop laughing. Look who's in the house next to me. Ben Garcia is joining us again. We've been having some major technical difficulties, and I was about ready to throw the computer out the window, really, people. But it happens in this business. It really does. So welcome, Ben, back. We're going to get through this interview one way or another, people. Yo, right on, brother. So let me talk to all you out there. I think it was my wife that just walked by. What the? That's not part of the show. But anyways, everybody, thank you for watching the No Cover TV podcast. All the visual shows, she goes again. Visual shows on YouTube, and of course, all the audio shows are on Spotify. And of course, back in the day when we were on TV. Thank you to all of you watching us on TV from 97 to 2014 and all the crazy crap we did. Yes, I'm not going to go into that, and you're not going to get it out of me. You just have to watch those shows. So definitely. And also that corner right up there on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so you can keep up to date on all these wonderful artists that are coming on the No Cover TV podcast. We're all over the world, going on over 40 countries now. We got to hit at least 200. At least 200. I know there's at least 200 countries. There's more, I think. Hey, I got to go back to school. Anyways, there's some wonderful people out there I got to thank to help these artists out there get their music out there, help them get them shows where I do the interviews, get their story and music out there. So let me, she keeps going by, I'm going to lose it here. But anyway, well, she has her clothes on, people, and there she goes again. Unbelievable. But anyways, let me go through this wonderful list of people right here. Sandra, you're out there from Dale Apara Entertainment, Andrea Hall Music Management, Blindfolded International Management, Legion Entertainment, SBM Global Media, Round the Clock PR, the Sound Lab, and of course, new to the family is Curtain Call Records. Welcome aboard, everybody, and thank you for bringing your artists to me. I will get to all of you. Cut it out, old lady. Stop doing this to me. And I'll get all of you artists on. I am going to take a month off because we will be moving, and I will kick right back in and get everybody on this show, definitely. There she goes again. So, Eddie, she's done, she says. So, anyways, what am I going to do next, folks? That's right, my three favorite words. Support, support, support. Support these artists. Go to their shows and pay cover charge. If there is one, they get to that swag table, load up on all the gear, the CDs, the albums, the hoodies, the t-shirts, the coffee mugs, the bumper stickers, the keychains. Oh, my, it goes on. Just load up. Then get to that stage and enjoy that show and see if you can stick around afterwards and meet these wonderful artists, get an autograph, because they are all going straight to the top of my book. And remember, these artists do what they do. Put a smile on your face. Your smile kicks right back to them. Puts a big old grin on their face, just like we might get out of bed, right? Oh, yeah, there he is, Brother Ben. So in the house today, Ben Garcia, all the way from Colorado, is joining us. How you doing, brother? I'm glad we were able to do this.
Yeah, man. Ready to do it. So, yeah, it's good.
Woo. It's been an interesting working through this. Yes, my friend. So how are you doing today? Looks like it's bright and sunny over there.
Sunny here, man. We were going to go fishing today, which is a normal weekend deal, but we got wind and rain, and that means it might snow. So you never know this time of year where we're at.
Send it west. Don't send it to me because I'm in Michigan.
I know.
Don't do it now. We've been dealing with so much rain.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah. Wow. Did you guys get the tornadoes that came through?
Yeah, that was just about 30 miles south and east of us. So we got the big wind and rain. Yeah, and nothing happened with the trees.
Yeah. I know. I just saw there was a tornado here in Colorado this afternoon. So it's just that time of year.
All right.
On the prairie. Yeah.
It's unreal. It's unreal. So, Ben, we tried this before. We got a little ways down the road, but we didn't make it too far. So we're going to start right back over. All right?
Sweet. Yeah.
All right, Ben. Well, Ben knows we don't talk about the music up front. We get to want to know Ben. We want to jump inside Ben's head there and find out something about Ben. Now, I already know some things, but let's just go back because, like I told him earlier in the previous show we tried to do, that I felt my bones. He started very young in this business and starting with the music, didn't you, Ben?
Yeah, about 13 is when I started. Well, 13 I started playing the guitar. 15 I started playing in bands. So
right. Now, tell me what mom and dad were listening to that you grew up on.
Yeah, man. So I was lucky because my mom, we kind of talked about this in the last one, but my mom was a big reader. So I had a lot of literature around me and a lot of really good literature from a young age to read. And then my dad was really into music. And my mom listened to a lot of music. I mean, like she, like Journey and Bob Seger and all the stuff everybody listened to in the 80s, which was great when I grew up. And then my dad was the one who had a big musical influence on me. So it'd be everything. So we'd listen to, I mean, God, like my dad used to come over and pick us up. My parents got divorced, and we'd have a drive across Utah, Wyoming, and Colorado, and the ride would consist of like it'd go like Miles Davis to Grateful Dead to Jerry Garcia to like bluegrass to like James Brown. Like my dad just had this crazy idea of music to listen to, and so it was fantastic. And then just like all the stuff you're not supposed to do with kids, my dad did with me and my brother, like let us watch Richard Pryor, and I mean, like all this, like just like Eddie Murphy's Raw, like that's great stuff, and that also included, it's great. So my music at that age for my dad was everything from like Santana to Hendrix to Zeppelin, that guy got my hands on. Just so blessed in my childhood of music that I got to listen to.
I guess so.
I mean, like, my mom more was like the Beatles. She really liked the Beatles, and my stepdad really liked the Stones and Zeppelin, and so I kind of had that. But like all that great 70s and 60s music, Cream, I mean,
There we go, Eric Clapton.
So many good ones. And then my dad had this way of like finding these weird documentaries we'd watch and music. So like Bob Marley, we'd watch a Bob Marley special. We just this crazy mix, and it makes so much sense in my musical taste and how I play music. That plays into it. But it's, and then my dad really got me into the blues when I was young. That was the big one of my, and it was just such a source of, Zeppelin would never have been Zeppelin without the blues. Clapton would have never had anything. Mick Jagger and Keith Richards met exchanging blues albums, and that was the stuff that my dad always talked to me about when I was a kid, is like, don't listen to the main artist, listen to who they listen to. And that gets you to where, you need to be. And, so that was a lot of what I listened to, just a crazy. And then, so that would have been my childhood of music right there. With all
that is very eclectic, because I was stuck listening to Lawrence Welk. I had to waltz every time. My mom and grandma get me up to waltz. It's like, hey, this is, I love big band music. I was a trumpet player. I played all those instruments and stuff.
Right.
But then when rock and roll hit the blood, it was over.
I played trumpet in band, and but I wasn't disciplined enough for that. So like it just did not work out. But I love the trumpet, and like, man, I still listen to Miles Davis every day of my life. And like Louis, like you can't have a day. Like every time you listen to Satchmo, you're in a good mood.
That's right, brother. Now, I got my first guitar at 12 years old, and I actually still have the thing. Now, you got yours at 13. Was it an electric or acoustic?
It was actually a classical, and it was a really cool story. It was my dad's when he was in the Navy, and so my mom had kept it out in like the shed at divorce, and by chance I just found it. And then so my dad put new strings on it for me. We got it a case, and then I started lessons with classical. And then I jumped right into electric. I mean, within like 6 months, I was playing.
Within 6 months. Well, now you said you went and got some classical lessons. How long did you stay getting lessons? Because mine lasted about 6 months.
I didn't do classical lessons. I just had a classical guitar doing lessons.
Okay, gotcha.
So and if I had known about Willie Nelson at the time, I would have stuck that path and done very well. So I think my lessons, my first teacher was great, and then it's like, of all twists of fate, my first teacher was fantastic, but he ended up being an older brother to a friend of mine that I ended up playing shows with later in life. And so that kind of happened. And then I got another teacher, and he was the one that really got me thinking about guitar. He was great. He had toured in the 80s in hair bands, and like was just a guy that you could talk to about like, what's it like touring? Like, what's it like playing with other members of bands? And he got me, my parents, the other one I was thinking about was Creedence, I mean, that my second guitar teacher is the one that like really got me going on Creedence and playing Creedence. And like that was a big change, because that led to like me listening to Marvin Gaye, that listened to me, or like Dick Dale, because Creedence had so much surf, stuff behind it being in California. And so he was the one that I'd say really shaped me and the guitarist I am now,
Wow.
of a lot of stuff. But I don't know if you had this in guitar lessons too, but guitar teachers love to show you how good they are the whole time.
Yeah.
And so and I just was like, I was like, I just really don't care about solos. I'm a horrible lead guitarist. Like I am just horrible at it. So like, I just really liked rhythm, and I wanted guitar, but I just lessons to learn how to play. But my whole dream when I strummed my first string of my guitar was to be in bands and playing music with people. That was really my ambition in life musically. So yeah.
Same here. I knew once I got my guitar that music's gonna always be a part of my life, one way or another. And '85 is when I formed my first band. Yes, indeed. Well, what a mess that was. But it lasted till '97.
You lasted that long? That's a good.
We didn't kill each other almost.
Yeah, that's a good run.
Right. So you started a band early, about 16?
About 15. I was thinking about it the other day. About 15 is when I started playing in bands, and then started playing shows at 16. And so is when I really started really hard at shows. And then I played shows till I was 20 in college, and then I hung it up one day. I was like, I was 21. It's 21. I had been 6 years of going at it and just wanted to take a break. So I took 25 years off of music. Yeah.
Wow. So what were you playing? Rock and roll? What were you playing in the band?
Alternative. That was when Pearl Jam and all that would have been coming on. That I was doing another podcast the other day, and it was like the subject came up of alternative music, and we were talking about like there wasn't the internet in the '90s when I was a teenager. So like you'd listen to like Pearl Jam, and then they, or one that I heard about the other day was like when Nirvana covered Lead Belly, like I'd known of Lead Belly, but like that opened a door, like when I saw Hole and Courtney Love was talking about Carole King, like they talk about things and you read about in Rolling Stones, and then you could dive into all these other musicians that came that way. And that was the blessing is it moves slow. The information at the time moves slow. And if you're like, hey, I want to kind of play like, I want to be in a band like Pearl Jam that I loved, just heavy guitar riffs, great stone on rhythm, great in drums. And so that was my first band. Was the first couple bands were around that form of that kind of music.
I like that. Now I want to just step back into the '80s a little bit. Was there a couple '80s favorite bands that you grabbed onto?
Yeah, man. Well, like for the one I can remember, the two I remember from young hearing, and I was pretty aware of music at a young age, of being aware of listening to it, would be definitely would have been Journey. Like I remember Journey for sure, like because like they were just everywhere on the radio, and Stevie Nicks and Tom Petty would have been another one that I just, and like Pat Benatar, I remember my mom listened to her, like just such good music coming out then. And then like of course I had like Guns N' Roses was one. I mean, like feeding my pre-puberty brain, Guns N' Roses was like what every 12-year-old male does not need to see. Feeding my 10-year-old brain. Yeah, like I was like, Welcome to the Jungle came out, and I was like, yes,
that's it right there.
Why would I go to church when I have this?
I got this. I was just thinking, I mean, you started jamming the grunge, the '90s stuff, but I think you probably look good in spandex and some high heels.
I didn't get into that, but I definitely I definitely had some fantastic Motley Crue and Poison albums on rotation then, and and what an introduction to the world of Girls by Motley Crue to a 10-year-old.
Wow.
It
was good. '80s were crazy, and I was fortunate to see most of those bands. I've worked with several of them.
Yeah,
and, great times. And, I think we talked before. Some of it's a haze up there. Yes.
Sure. I'm sure.
So okay. 18 hits, life hits. We got to get a life. We got to get a job. We got to go to college, start a family. You said you took 25 years off. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I had so I played all through high school. I graduated high school early, went to college at 17, and then played. And then my junior year in college, got really playing with a very, very talented female singer, and like really took off and had a blast playing with her. And then I would have been 20 then. Yeah, I would have been 20. And
Okay.
And did the like greatest thing ever you should never do. A tip of advice to a 19-year-old playing is we went. I didn't know what a showcase was, and we went to a showcase. And mind you, this is 99, 98.
Okay.
98. And some people came up to us from Nashville, and they're like, "Well, we want to buy your catalog. Like we want to buy the songs."
Wow.
And like, I was in like my best 20-year-old self told them a few words of what to do, which
right on.
that got me getting kicked out of the bar and told I was never going to play in Denver again. So then that kind of happened. And then I kind of got into like jam band music and wanted to play just like with drummers and bass players and saxophone players and just jam and have a good time, and did that for another year. And then I kind of was like, I'm just kind of done with this. You can I'm sure you saw it too, but there's points in music where you kind of look around and go like, is this what it's going to be? Like, is it going to be a bar on a Friday night? Is it going to be, dealing with drunk people telling you how you play at the end of the night? From 16 to 20, 5 years of that, I was this like, and I'm sure you went through to like people staring at you when you play to watch what your hands are doing. Yeah, I know. I still get it, but I just kind of was done with it. And then that's when I really started hunting in my life. And I just kind of did a switch of an addiction from like being totally addicted to music to doing that all the time to hunting. And then I just dove right into that. And I still recorded and wrote songs over those 20 years, but I just didn't play. I played once when my wife was getting her master's in Arizona. I played a show that they had down there, and then that was kind of it. Yeah. But I grew up, we kind of talked about it. I grew up in a family of uncles that played guitar. And my dad, and that's, and like that was, man, that no matter where I was at in my life, we were together, we played guitars and had a great time. And like the night before me and my wife's wedding, my uncles were there, my dad was there, we all got to play guitars together. And I think we talked last time about stage fright. And like I was saying, like, I don't get it, because when you grow up with your uncles and your dads judging you and telling you so, like, you can, like, we played in front of 1,200 people for New Year's, and my wife's like, "Are you nervous?" I'm like, "No, I'm all right," because like that's, you don't know any of them, like they're like, if you suck, they're gonna boo you, but like for the most part, they're not watching everything you do. But like that, I didn't realize that playing in a circle would come back to service me later in life with like some bluegrass songs and some bluegrass styles, like playing with some other people of like. How like music was, that was the point of music years ago, was those family stories being passed on and those talking about in those circles being played. And so like I still always played with my uncles if I was in town, or if like my one uncle lives in Montana, like if we went up there, I brought a guitar with me and we'd play. Sweet. And then if I went back to Utah to see it, like, but that to me, like I'll never let go of that memory. No matter where I've played in the country or what I've done, which have been fantastic shows, that family time is just the best.
Well, what's best about playing in front of family, they'll get up, cuff you up to your head if you fuck up.
Oh, they did. Yeah, they were not. Yeah, they did. Yeah. And so, but like at the same time, man, like they had, that's where I learned to play Long Hair Country Boy by Charlie Daniels. I mean, like that's where I learned to play like all those Dead songs. It's where I learned, that was my introduction into Guy Clark, and Jerry Jeff Walker and those guys was from my uncle. That's where I remember being, man, like 13 or 14 and learned Sam Stone by John Prine from my dad. Just stuff like that. Like, yeah, man, it was, and like playing that with them was just awesome. And so those are things to do.
Those are classics. Those are classics, brother. So now, I love your music. I listen to you online performance stuff, and you're doing the country, but it's more of outlaw country. It's your way. It's your music. And I love what the story is about on each song that you've got. Right. Incredible. So now let's talk about let's get up to date here a little bit. Now,
right.
Okay. So what I listen to is your great music stuff, but I'm hearing you do your soloing, but now when you go to the studio or you go out, do you have a band or a bunch of friends you jam with?
No, so I was there yesterday in the studio for a while. Well, it was a long while playing. But what we've done is, at first all the tracks. Well, Wes, who plays fiddle with me, he he's on every song, I think, but maybe 2 we've ever recorded.
Sweet.
And so, and I've toured with him a bunch to play shows. But the way we do them is generally I'll lay down the tracks and then they're outsourced to different musicians throughout the country that will track back in. We've done some live, like Good Time Man. That's that, that song you like. That was done with a band in a studio, and it was absolutely it was awesome. Like, it was so fun. Like, I was in an isolation room. They were in the back room with the bass player, the guitar, and the drums, and I couldn't see them. But I kept getting distracted and wanting to go watch them play.
So it's difficult sometimes.
Yeah. So on that one, I just unplugged my guitar and went in and played with them, and then went back and overlaid my guitar on top of that. And then all those songs, Spinning, that song I had, my great friend Katie Grigsby's on it. Me and her went to college together. Her younger brother John is the one playing stand-up bass and bowed bass on it. Wow. And me and him played in a band from 15 to 18, 17 Whoa. To 18. Now, he was in the first band I really played in. And so, but he's with a national act now touring. And I think he recorded it when he was in Europe. I don't remember where he was at on tour. And so, cause and then Wes added that on. This last tracks we've been doing, I recorded them in Denver. They went to, Wes did the fiddle in Greeley, and then the pedal steel and guitars and organ were done in Denver. The drums and bass went to Nashville, and then came back. And so it's the technology, and it's amazing to see.
Yeah, it's amazing from, back in the day, the 70s, 80s, even the early 90s. We didn't have this where you could push a few buttons and shoot across the world. No,
man. We did it. The first time I recorded in the studio would have been 94, 95. We did a reel-to-reel, and there was no mistakes. Like, you did not, and those were not cheap.
No.
Those were not. No, and then I think I recorded when I was 95, 96. I finally recorded the first tape we really did, and that was on an 8-track or 16. But we just grinded them out. We did all those. We did all those live. So it was just you rehearsed and rehearsed and rehearsed.
Right. You just jammed it out.
Yeah. And I loved them. It was so much fun. This way is interesting because you can cover up mistakes. Not cover them up, but you can take them out, go back and redo
fix it.
Yeah, you can fix it. And well, it is in a way, but then also you also takes that stress away too. You're not as tense. Me and my wife now you're just kind of well, if I mess it up, it's just a reset on a computer. It doesn't cost anything but electricity,
Right. For another 8 hours.
Exactly. And hard drive and somebody replacing tapes. So that's the way these have been. So we did the first one, and that's 10 songs. And we never released that as an album. We just did it as singles. And then now we're sitting on, I think we've got 8 songs that we're trying to wrap up. I wrapped up the guitar on those yesterday. And then now the drums have been done. They'll get bass done, and then they'll start laying organ and fiddle on there. Is the way that works. Yeah, and then vocal. We'll do all those, and then go back and redo the vocals. We record with scratch vocals, so we're just and then go back and do that. But
oh man. So now, are you mostly putting out singles, then making an EP, or what are we doing? How are we working?
Yeah, so we're gonna go back on the. We're going to pull off 4 songs from the first year of recording, which was last year, and then pull those. They're going to get remastered. So they'll go back and get remastered, and then take those 4, the 8 we've recorded, and make that a record. And I think me and my wife were talking about breakfast this morning. We're going to go for an October release on that. So we were gonna try for July, but by the time you print EPs and get
it's gonna be later.
It's 5 or 6 weeks. There's no way to get all that mastered.
No.
And people are on tour. Wes is on tour playing fiddle. Throughout the country with other people. I've got a tour coming up in July. So I just have really gone with this, not stressing anybody out on these. And typically when we send track over to a musician, I just tell them hey man, play whatever's on your heart. Whatever you hear, when you first listen to it and you hear in your heart's telling you to play that.
There you go.
Because I'm not a conductor out there telling people what to, we had to tweak Little Sunshine. I think we had to go back and send back to Hamilton. He was in Connecticut when he did the banjo. And I think we had to get him, the banjo and the fiddle lined up a little bit more, and that was I think that's the only one we've really spent a lot of time directing people where to go. with what to
Wow.
do.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Now, is it the song "Sweet and True"? Isn't that a new release?
That's the new one. Yeah, and that was done in Denver. So yeah, pretty
Beautiful
excited about
song.
that.
Yeah, I'm loving that,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah,
That's,
that was actually the second version of that song. So
is it?
originally I had that song, and I don't know much about fiddle. Wes does, but like I did a Cabo One on it. We used to call it like the Cabo One song from hell because like, and so like we did a tour in January, and he's like, I'm not playing that song anymore.
I'm not playing
Like
this.
not
Not capable of
he
my
believed,
ass.
man. He did. Yeah, he's like, I'm just getting off stage. So we do it as like a closer between breaks, and then but that's the beautiful thing about having a friend play with you. It's like he's like, man, you got to rewrite that song, And so
He's going to
because
be
he's like,
honest.
but the honesty created the second version of that song, which is just amazing to me. Like it's been out a week. It's got better numbers than any song I've ever had out.
Nice.
It's doing awesome on streaming. It started on radio in Texas this week.
Really?
So like so super proud about that song, and it was so fun to do. It was so
wow. That is so cool, bro. That is so cool. Before we get any farther, Ben, tell everybody out there where they can find you, your music, where you're touring, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so my music's on all Spotify's, Apple, Amazon, Pandora. It's on all of them. And then my socials, mostly what we do is Instagram. We have a Facebook one too, but most of it's on Instagram. We've started on TikTok, but I mean, that's just a different model than.
Yeah, I don't use that.
It's a weird one, man. It's a weird one. And then touring wise, that's all on Instagram or my webpage, which is Ben Garcia Music. But I'm in Cheyenne next weekend, and then I'm in Grand Junction, which is Western Colorado, the next weekend, and I'm in Boise, Idaho the weekend after that. I fly in for a show.
You're keeping pretty busy. Yeah.
And then July we're gone the whole month. So that includes Montana, Washington, Idaho, Utah, Colorado, Oregon, and Washington. I said Washington. Yeah. And then
nice, bro.
And then August is Nashville, and then back. That's just a fly-in show back. And then September is California. So like when you still have a full-time job, you got to play.
You can juggle that around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, whereabouts in Cali are you going? I used to live there.
That one's So one's in Northern California. They're both in Northern California.
Oh,
our daughter goes to college. Yeah, our daughter goes to college north of San Francisco. So like I booked 2 shows to go see her. So like
there you go. Might as well.
Why not? I get to hang out with her, and then go play shows with her and try to talk her into getting on stage and singing.
There you go.
My youngest daughter did it 2 weeks ago with me. She got up and sang "Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain" by Willie Nelson.
I saw that. That was beautiful. To have your daughter up on stage with you to sing with you, it's got to be hitting the heart big time.
Yeah, I texted one of my friends. I was like, I should have called a dad, not trying to cry on the stage.
Right.
What I should have called that song. Yeah.
Right. Just turn around and let her face the audience.
I could have, man. We played it together a lot during COVID, but Bell Bottom Blues by Clapton. Like she can sing that song, and I just I'm in awe about it. They're just
what?
Singers. Yeah, I mean she came to me one day and she's like, that song you listen to? And I was like, yeah. She's like, by Derek and the Dominoes. And I was like, yeah. She's like, I learned it. And like, I had never been able to play that. So it's a hard song to play, and so like, it's really hard. And she had found a version of it to play in open chords. And I was like, cool. And then we got it figured out and just jammed that song.
That's
pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. I recorded this with them when during COVID. I wrote a song right after John Prine died. And I recorded it with them, and we did it in a bluegrass style. We just set up a mic and sang around it. I need to re-release it because it's just beautiful. They just way they
get it out there.
Yeah, just get it
out there.
Yeah.
I'm looking there, Ben, and I see a Git fiddle next to you.
Yeah.
Can I get a song out of you?
Yeah. What one do you want to hear? Let me see if I can.
Well, I'd like to hear "Sweet and True" or whatever you want, brother. It's your music. It's your show.
Yeah, I'll do "Sweet and True" for sure. And you know what I wrote this song about was, have you ever had a manual job? Like, have you ever worked manual labor jobs?
I'm a tradesman. Yes.
You get it. So that's what I wrote this, or who I wrote this song for. Like, when you're working out in the rain, when you're working out with a shovel, I said, like, if you've held a shovel, this song's for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, because like when you get through that, those are hell of a hard weeks, and people don't understand.
Yeah, you're hurt.
And and so what I wrote it about was trying to work through that week to get to the love of your life on that weekend, because that Friday night with your wife or your partner is pretty special when you've been working out in the sun.
It is
that moment. Like, you've got to find something to work towards, right? Like, you've got to have something ahead, because when it's 105 degrees for me and I'm running dogs, like, you got to think of something better than being there,
That's right, bro.
And being a guy, it typically involves your wife, or like your girlfriend.
Exactly.
So that's what I wrote the song about. It's just about people that work manual jobs and like just that sweat, and that sweat
and tears
into it. Yeah. And then you get to that moment, and that's why it says, like, I want to dance with you in the dark. I want to dance with you and touch our hearts. It's like that moment is why you work that job and why you have going on, and so those are the important moments.
Sure,
so that's what I wrote the song about. So
let's hear
it. Can you
Ben
hear that?
Garcia. Okay? Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. All right. Honey, I'm working these blue jeans, a new shade of blue. I don't care what the world thinks of me and little old you. At the end of the working day, my son's tired and true, I wanna see you waiting for me. Feel your kisses sweet and true. I wanna dance with you in the dark. Wanna dance with you, touch our hearts, touch our hearts. Honey, I'm working my life away with each pair of cowboy blues. Money don't know if she wants to stay. Girl, I know I can count on you. At the end of the working day, all the loving we can do. Wanna meet my shade tree. Feel your kisses sweet and true. Wanna dance with you in the dark. Wanna dance with you, touch our hearts, touch our hearts. Wanna dance with you in the dark. Wanna dance with you, touch our hearts, touch our hearts.
Oh, yes.
There you go, man. Thanks.
Every blue collar worker out there thanks you and their wives.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. But there's that interesting line in there where it goes, money don't know if she wants to stay, but girl, I know I can count on you. There's moments where you're working those manual jobs and not making what it's worth. I mean, so
I know.
Yeah. What'd you do?
I'm worth more.
Yeah. What'd you do in the trades? What was your trade?
I'm a metal fabricator and certified
Oh
TIG
yeah,
welder machinist.
you get it, man. You know what sweat is, then for sure.
Yeah.
I cannot weld to save my life. My uncle tried, my dad tried. Like everybody I've ever worked on a ranch with has tried to show me, and I'm like, you just don't want me near a welder.
Don't
It's
get
not,
it.
yeah. And
Well,
to me, it's an art. Like it's beautiful. Like TIG welding is fantastic.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah, but good luck. Like just you're better to give me a roll of duct tape. You know,
Right.
yeah,
Now I probably shake. I can't do it now.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah,
I picked it up at a young age and just kept going and become a machinist, and an industrial mechanic, and all that great stuff.
Yeah. Were you a CNC machinist, or what kind of machinist?
I worked lathes and mills and stuff.
Yeah.
I worked all the equipment. I was the head of a big plant, and if it broke, I had to fix them and make stuff. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I have this fascination with where you're at in the world, and the same with like Ohio and Pennsylvania, of the coal industry and the mining industry.
Oh yeah.
Like I just, man, like you listen to Bruce Springsteen's Ghost of Tom Joad album, where he talks about Youngstown.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, holy cow. I'm not, but it's like I just love reading on the, when you listen to that song, it took me forever to figure it out. But when he says, "My sweet Jenny, I'm going down here in Youngstown," I didn't know that's what they called the burners in those plants were Jennies. And so Springsteen was so good when he wrote that album. Just
definitely. We all had our slang, as we would call it, in the business.
Yeah.
It wasn't pretty words either.
No. It's such a great. I have this sociology degree, so I geek out on this kind of stuff. But it's interesting. Of you went World War II, guys came back and worked in the mills. You had Korea, guys went to Korea, came back, worked in the mills. You had Vietnam, they went off to Vietnam, came back and worked in the mills. Springsteen grabs it in that song in a way.
I love it.
It's love it. Yeah, it's so good.
I don't think a lot of blue collar workers get that much appreciation as much as they should. They're the backbone of America.
No. Yeah, and it is. It really is. You think about roads, you think about everything. And I think oil and gas has that same thing right now.
Yeah.
People don't realize those guys working in oil and gas,
That's true.
Even,
you
talk about welding. Look about them laying pipe. Like when they lay that pipe.
Oh yeah. Well, I challenge any Gen X out there: grab a shovel and do it for 8 to 10 hours a day. See if you can do it.
Right.
For 6 days a week for a year.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. But you know what, man? We're in an interesting time because you look at there's not a lot of kids going to college and they're going to those trade jobs.
There's
Yeah. I think the way they're not going to weld the same you welded at 20 years old. That's the technology's changed. Everything's, changed.
I was watching a welding video the other day, not to get off topic, TIG welding video, automatic wire feeder. What the flipping hell is that?
Hey, man, for people like me, that's hope.
That's hope. That's great, man. I love it.
All I have to do is press the trigger.
There you go. Wear your leathers and you're good to go. This is wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I feel used now. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, man. Let's get back to what we got to do now. I got some fun questions I want to ask you. All right, my friend.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, I'll put you on the spot here. Okay. So let's have some fun. All right, I'm going to let you have 2 answers on this question. Now, I want you to think around the world a little bit here. Only 2 answers. What stages in your heart since you were a kid you always wanted to step on and perform?
Man, that's a hard one. Red Rocks is one for sure. Just
great place.
I've seen so many concerts there. Red Rocks is for sure. Do you want 2 answers? The other one would be, I would say, I would just say Red Rocks and Red Rocks.
Red Rocks and Red Rocks.
Why not? There's so many, like the Gorge, up in Washington would be one that'd be beautiful. since I was a kid, that would be them. I mean, there's ones I've played here for sure that were bucket list ones that I've got to play, or like different places. Playing in Austin last winter when I was down there was pretty special. The show I got to play in Austin. I mean, that was, I would say, I mean, I'm not that type of guitar player, but I would say Red Rocks and Antones down in Austin.
I can see right.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and then Red Antones, just because the history of Stevie Ray Vaughan playing there, and just down. Yeah, I mean, like I was just listening to him the other day, and I was like, God, this man is just unreal. I mean, but that was, again, that was my introduction to Freddie King. That was the introduction of mine to so many players he played like, and then yeah, for sure. Those would be the two.
Those hit me hard when we lost those great musicians from Randy Rhoads and stuff. But, it just kills you, man, because it shouldn't happen.
Man, I just watched a clip of Ozzy when Randy was playing one of his solos, and like Ozzy's old. I mean, he's old as it's like a year ago, and Randy plays a solo, and I didn't realize the song's 40 years old now, and Ozzy stood up and like did a little nod to him, but yeah, like you would never have Rage Against the Machine if you didn't have Randy.
Right, exactly.
Such a brilliant guitarist.
Yeah, they were great shows to watch when we perform live with Ozzy. Most definitely didn't know what was going to happen on that stage.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was good. Sure. All right, let's go to another question here. I'm going to let you have two answers on this one. These are people. I want a person alive, a person passed away. Who you always want to perform with?
Passed away. Man, that's a hard one. I would definitely say John Prine would be the one for me. Like God, that big old goofy smile, and he's actually like, he's a brilliant guitar player. Like when you watch his finger picking, it's hard to play a John Prine song. It really is hard to play one. And then somebody alive, man, I'm just going to say it because I don't know how much longer he's got to be Willie Nelson. I mean, for sure. Willie.
Yeah, definitely Willie.
It'd be Willie to the T. I mean, I love Willie, and I love playing his songs, and I mean, he was probably, I got to think here, On the Road Again may have been the first country song I ever heard that I
really,
wow. Yeah, if I remember, yeah, I mean, I remember hearing Waylon for sure. Waylon would be in there if it wasn't.
Yeah.
For me, like Sweet and True to me, I really tried to write it as like a Waylon style song with my voice, and but yeah, I remember. Yeah, Willie may have been the first country artist I really remember grabbing a hold of and listening to. And so.
I was watching the other day, and just throw this in there. Roy Clark. Yeah, amazing guitar player and singer. Amazing.
I know, amazing. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I like the one that I just think is so good to listen to is Carl Perkins. Like that's one that I've just been listening to a lot too. Like Matchbox. There's a great clip. There's a great clip of him playing Matchbox with Eric Clapton and Johnny Cash. Are playing with them, and it may just be Clapton. I don't remember, but it's a good one to watch. Sure.
Well, I was, I check everybody out, and I see that you paid a visit to you paid a visit to the King's house, didn't you?
I've not been to Graceland. No, I've never been there. I've been through there. No, I've been in Memphis, and I have that song Newtown. It was written about sometimes in Memphis, but when I was in Memphis, I was running the dogs, and the Bird Dog Hall of Fame is near there.
Okay.
And so that was more of my focus. I did a podcast, I think, talking about Graceland, and I always want to go, but I love Paul Simon. In his Graceland, he talks about taking his daughter there. So I kind of have this vision in my head. When I go to Graceland, I'm going to take my daughter.
Why not, man?
Paul Simon, yeah, exactly, yeah. No, Elvis is an interesting study for sure. And just if I go to Graceland, I want to see where Jerry Lee Lewis rammed his car through the gates.
Right on.
Like, that's my style of Elvis.
There you go. I hear you, brother.
I love Kung Fu Elvis. Like when he's like, crazy Elvis.
Crazy.
Out of it. Yeah. I mean, and we were talking about outlaw stuff before. Like that's the stuff I like. It's just that like raw stuff that's not
raw,
so
crazy, real,
getting drunk as shit and gonna go kill Elvis. You know, like that's rock and roll to me, man. For sure.
Me and you can have anything, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, because those are the days without the internet, right? I mean, those are all the days without cell phones or internet. That
no pictures.
Well, I mean, yeah, we know it happened. We just haven't heard it.
Yeah, we know what happened.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some more questions. Now, what's the largest crowd you think you played for?
That would have been New Year's. This year was 1,200, and that was opening for Uncle Lucius up in Montana. So
all right.
Awesome.
I want to bring you back to that show. So in your mind, go back to that show. You're hitting the stage. You're opening it up. You hit the first chord. You start your singing. Crowd turns around and looks, hey, who's this dude? It's Ben Garcia. Let's move to the stage. Let's get a little closer. They might be swinging. They might be swaying. They might dance. Most of all, you might see them singing your songs back to you. If you see all this out there, how's it hit you in your heart and make you feel, brother?
Man, you're right. That was the first time I've seen that happen. So, and I was playing Road Song and people were singing to it. Cause at the time that was my number one song on streaming. And it was, I mean, like it may have been 7 people out of 1,200, like whatever the numbers this.
No matter.
Like, yeah. I mean, I remember kind of, you know, and then that was the first time that's happened. And then we covered Tom Petty's Last Dance with Mary Jane, you know, and and Wes does the fiddle solo on that with the wah instead of the guitar part or the harmonica, and it's killer. But that's the first time I've heard 1,200 people singing back a song I'm singing. And we got done, and I went to drink my water, and I was shaking. And I was trying to put the lid back on, and Wes looked at me. He's like, "Hey, brother, you don't need the cap on that thing." And I was like,
"You don't need
it." Let me just get through my moment here, because it kind of takes you back, you know, of that going on. But and that being said, man, that's so important. But then I played down in Turkey, Texas in October, and I played Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain. And I remember there's this older lady there, and she had to be in her 80s, and she was crying when I played it, you know, and like came over in the tip jar and gave me like $1 in quarters. And I was like, these are the moments.
That's it
like,
right there.
Yeah, like this. Like, cause I don't know her story. Like, maybe that was her and her husband's song, and he's not around anymore. Like, maybe there's things I'm not seeing, but those are all things I do at 46. I don't take for granted. You know what I mean? Like, those are things of why I do this and why I have fun. Like, I want to be playing the show for the guys and the ladies that like worked all week and just want to go out and have a good time together and play, man. Like, crowds are fantastic. Selling merch is fantastic. But knowing a song touch somebody and help them through something is
those moments you'll always remember in your heart. I don't ever forget mine. Never. It's a great thing.
And that's been a new thing that changed since when I played earlier in life. Like, I wasn't ready for people in other countries to start listening to my music, you know. And like, I wasn't when Charm came out last year. It came out a year ago. It came out May 3rd. I remember running through the stats because I'm addicted to stats and all this industry. And I remember like, oh, somebody in Italy's listening to the song right now. And then be like, oh, somebody's in South America listening to the song right now. You know, and I wasn't quite ready for that. And then to get messages back from them, you know, or like somebody from Brazil emailing me and offering me a show in Brazil. Like, that wasn't even on the radar when I started this.
Right. Who's thinking of that?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's cool, man. It's great how we can get all over the world real quick. I like it.
Yeah. Well, your show's national, so you're used to it, but like, I wasn't, you know.
I'm still not used to it. I get my name shout out, Big Al. It's like, hey, whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know. So it's fun though. Right there, I feel like.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to another question here, brother. Yeah. Now, I'm going to hit you hard on this one. I want you to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay. I know this probably has happened. You've been doing this a long time. Is there any embarrassing moments you want to talk about on stage?
Oh man, there's so many. Yeah. I mean, well, man, they're in embarrassing and things I would take back are two different subject matters, right? Like hitting a kid over the head with my Strat in 1996 because he was stage diving is probably but he was hacking me the whole show, and like he got up to stage dive and he caught a Strat to the back of the head as he went down. But like, probably not the best move in my life. Embarrassing on stage, man. Let me think. Oh, I mean, like, yeah, for me, like when I started playing shows like Capo and the wrong song and being wrong, you know, but nobody notices. or they all notice and they're so nice not to say it,
right, nice not to tell you they saw it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. You get pretty humble in your 40s of what's embarrassing and what's not.
Right.
I haven't had the fly down yet. I haven't had, like, yeah.
Split your
I would
pants.
say,
So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I would say, yeah, man. I don't know if I've had, but man, like I was saying, when you've been at it as long as I have, it's hard to get embarrassed. I mean, it's a
right,
hard,
right.
I mean, like I went through those like broken strings. I mean, I've done one. Well, I'll give one. I forgot to turn my tuner off, and I started playing the song, and the sound guy cut my mic off and flashed me with his flashlight
Shut up.
because I didn't have my pedal board was turned to tuner, and I didn't have my input going to the DI box, and so that was probably the most embarrassing one. I would say that's how
almost how many times did the high E string slap you in the face?
Yeah, when I was playing electric a ton. Like I mean, like I have this paranoia of breaking strings. So my poor guitar tech, like all the Gibsons they get about 2 shows in them and then they get replaced, with strings. And so he's like, man, I promise you're not going to break a string on these things. You're not playing hard enough, but
right.
But then I look down at my strumming hand and it's black. Because I play an interesting way. Long ago, somebody told me, like when I was a teenager, like my dad gave me a great advice on a guitar, and somebody else gave me another great advice on a guitar. Like my dad said, like if you can walk by a guitar and not grab and play it, you're not a guitarist. That's how you.
That's true.
And then true. And the other one somebody told me when I was young that I really paid attention to was you don't watch a guitarist's left hand, you watch their right hand, and it's how they're picking. And that's what makes a good guitar player. So I actually do like a strum or like a drum beat within my guitar picking. So, so more what we've worried about more is, like taking out nuts, and breaking nuts on the backside of the bridge, it sounds hard as like, that's like where one Gibson I just trashed that we've got to send back to but like, yeah, breaking strings hurts, it
hurts. I get bloody. And speaking of lefties, my singer was a lefty, and in the very beginning, in the early '80s, he would take my guitar and restring it left-handed first so he could play. It's like, well, then I got to restring it the right way so I can play.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
play your own guitar.
The Jimmy style. Yeah, exactly.
That's great, my friend. Ben, I'm having a wonderful time with you, brother. Yes. Oh my God, 52 minutes in already. Whoa!
Oh yeah. Yeah,
man, I got to have you back on 6 months or a year. We need to find out some more of what's going on with music and when you drop the new EP and stuff like that. Yeah, definitely.
Right, yeah.
But I got a couple more questions before we get out of here. Okay, brother?
Yeah.
All right. 5 years from now, where would you like to see the music? You?
Man, we kind of got this, me and my manager were having this talk is 2024 is the talk of, or 2025 this year, we're on this year. Is sorry, lost a year there. The goal on that is to do solo shows, work these songs, finish recording, get the EP out. But we recorded these songs and I've been writing the songs in a way that hopefully 2026 I'm touring with a band and doing bigger shows.
I want to see that.
So much fun to play with a band. Like it's just if nobody's ever done it, like it's just the best feeling in the world. It's so fun to do. So 5 years from now, I hope I'm still playing music. I hope my body still holds up to play music.
I hear that.
But man, if I'm, like my goal, I have a great career in what I do, and like so blessed in my job. And like me and my wife talked about it, if like we can travel and I can play shows along the way and do that, like that's the blessing of it. But I hope, the shows are getting bigger. There's getting more shows. So to say where I want to be at 5 years, like to be honest, man, I just hope I'm being honest with myself still in my music.
Yeah. I see that, brother. I see that. And if I see you out there and I can attend a show, you'll see a big guy, like I'll be jumping on a stage with you, brother.
Yeah, for sure. And I played a show and I was doing a George Strait cover down in Texas, talking about big guys. And this big guy stood up in the back and crossed his arms and just gave me a death stare the whole time I was playing this George Strait song. I was like, oh, how's this going to go? Like, am I going to get my ass kicked? Like I was
right.
And I got done playing and he went, I'm ready to do it. I was like, yes, you know, like,
Make the big guy happy. Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
that's funny.
yeah,
All right, before we get out of here, one more question. You said you got 2 daughters?
yeah. $2. Yeah.
$2. Well, this question is for the youngsters out there. You got any advice you want to give the youngsters out there that do what we do?
Yeah, man. I would write. Just write. I mean, and know you're going to write 30 bad songs for one good song, and embrace it. But like, I think if I was telling a youngster right now, because of what I see in music right now with that age group doing it, is I would be cautious of depression compared to the lost soul, you know, and I would find a soul. You know, there's a lot of lyrics right now that are dealing with depressive things that age group has gone through because of COVID, you know, and I'm very sympathetic to it, and I'm not making light of what they're writing about. But if you listen to the lyrics, it's a lot of depressive song lyrics, a lot of things going on, and I would reach deeper into the soul and journey forward compared to backwards. You know, is what I would tell them.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. You know, I mean,
so, it does. You know, it just, you know, I tell them, believe in yourself. Don't listen to everybody out there. Do your thing.
Dude, don't listen to anybody, because everybody's got advice. I mean, like I had a drunk guy in Dallas tell me, he's like, you need to do Iggy Pop country. And I was like, what? I was like, first of all, I'm not going to do that, because I'm not going to touch the Stooges or Iggy Pop. I'm not going to do any of that stuff, you know? And he was like, but like, it was during my set. And I'm like, man, leave me alone. And then like, after I got done, he just hounded me for like a half hour. And then you just kind of like, you got to play for yourself. But you got to do it for yourself. And if you can't, if you don't like it yourself, you're never going to play for somebody that likes it. You know?
That's right.
And like, I think the other thing, man, is judge. Like, nobody's probably going to agree to this, and probably every psychologist thinks I'm wrong in it, but judge yourself harshly. Because
criticize yourself.
Like, because the world is not easy in music. You know, like, you're going to get more no's, yes, you know, and you're going to get. I get it a lot of my voice. You know, I get people that hate it and that raspy side, and I get people that love it. And the people that hate it, and the notes I get back, they hate it, you know. And you just can't take it personal. You just, you know,
you can't. You can't. It's funny and fickle how everybody is in the world. But let me ask you one quick question before we get out of here. And I know this has happened to you, it's happened to everybody. How many times have you heard in the background, Freebird?
Yeah, man. I learned my lesson of that when we were like 16. We were playing up in a mountain town, and like we were getting hazed pretty hard, you know. And like the waitress had already threatened to kick my ass twice for my mouth.
Whoa!
You know, so yeah, like it was like the lesson learned there is don't make motorcycle jokes in a
no.
Doesn't go over well. But I haven't heard Freebird in a long time. It's probably. I mean, I think I did, but it's probably coming. But like, you know, here's the blessing of where I'm at right now in my music, because I'm opening for a ton of people. So I have some headlining shows, but typically the openers get other hazing.
Right.
Yeah. Generally, like, the crowd likes to save Freebird for the main act, you know. So like, I don't get that one that much, you know. So like, I may get other things, you know. Yeah, I don't get Freebird, and I don't get free drinks, you know. So it just kind of
free drink.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. All right, everybody. Ben Garcia is in the house. Thank you again, Ben, from the bottom of my heart. Before we get out of here, tell everybody again where they can find you and your music.
Yeah, man. They can find me on Instagram at Ben Garcia Music, and on Facebook at Ben Garcia Music, and Spotify, Apple. And if you're liking it, share it with a friend. Add it to a playlist. Right. You know, if you like our socials, like and follow them, because you just never know what's going to turn or happen or come out, you know.
That's right, brother. Again, Ben, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I've enjoyed the interview.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it. Thanks, man. Great time.
All right, tell everybody out there, peace. We're out of here.
All right, see you, man.